Let me paint you a picture. You wake up Monday morning, you go to work, you put in your hours, you come home tired. You do it all again Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and by Friday payday you actually feel good for about 20 minutes. Because for those 20 minutes, your account has money in it. Then the rent hits, the car payment, the groceries, the subscriptions you forgot you had. And by Sunday night, you're basically back to zero. Waiting for next Friday like it's a finish line that just keeps moving. Here's the thing. This isn't a story about being lazy. This isn't about being bad with money. I'm describing the financial reality of tens of millions of hardworking, intelligent, responsible Americans. People who are doing everything they were told to do. And yet they feel like they're running on a treadmill that just keeps getting faster. So today I want to talk about why. And more importantly, I want to show you the one rule that explains almost everything about why some people build wealth while most people don't. Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Growing up, most of us received a very specific set of financial instructions. Work hard, get a good job. Save what you can, avoid debt, buy a house when you're ready, and someday invest for retirement. And look, none of that advice is wrong exactly. The problem is that it's massively incomplete. It's like someone handing you the ingredients for a recipe, but never telling you the order to combine them, how hot the oven needs to be, or how long to cook it. You could follow every instruction you were given and still end up with something inedible. Here's the truth. Most financial advice people grow up hearing is designed around one thing: survival. Not wealth. Survival. Don't go broke, pay your bills, stay out of trouble. And for a lot of people, that's the ceiling they ever reach, just not broke. But here's where it gets interesting. There are people, ordinary people, not lottery winners, not trust fund kids, who start from very similar financial situations as everyone else, and over 20 or 30 years, they quietly accumulate serious wealth. Not because they made more money, not because they got lucky, but because they understood something about how money actually works that most people never figure out. What did they understand? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. Okay, here it is. The hidden money rule. Most people think the key to wealth is income. Make more money, get rich. That's the belief. And it sounds logical, but the reality is income is just the starting point. What determines your financial outcome isn't how much money comes in. It's what happens to that money after it enters your life. Think about it this way. Money is like water flowing into a bucket. Most people focus entirely on the tap, how much water is coming in, but the bucket has holes in it. And if you don't understand where those holes are, it doesn't matter how fast you turn the tap, the bucket never fills up. The hidden rule is this: wealth is not built by earning more. Wealth is built by controlling where money flows after you earn it, and then giving that redirected money enough time to compound. That's it. That's the whole game. And this is where things get interesting, because this rule has two parts that most people miss entirely. The first part is flow. Where does your money actually go every month? Not where you think it goes, not where you intend it to go, where it actually goes. For most people, the answer is surprising and a little uncomfortable when they look closely. The second part is time, and this is the one that genuinely changes everything once you understand it. Time is the multiplier that turns small, consistent financial decisions into enormous outcomes. And here's the brutal truth. Time is the one resource that only moves in one direction. You can always earn more money. You cannot get back lost time. Let me show you something that will make this feel very real. According to the Federal Reserve's most recent survey of consumer finances, the median American household has less than $8,000 in savings, not investments, total savings. That means half of all American households have less than $8,000 standing between them and a genuine financial emergency. And it gets more striking. A recent Bankrate survey found that nearly 60% of Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. 60%. That's not a fringe group. That's the majority. Now here's the one that really gets me. According to Fidelity's retirement research, the average 50-year-old American has around $150,000 saved for retirement. That sounds like a lot, until you realize that at the standard 4% withdrawal rate, $150,000 generates about $6,000 per year in retirement income. That's $500 a month. For someone who spent their entire career working, most people don't realize this. They assume they're on track because they have some money saved. But when you run the actual numbers, the gap between what people have and what they'll need is staggering. And this isn't happening because Americans are lazy or irresponsible. It's happening because almost nobody teaches the actual rule of how money works. So people make completely rational sounding decisions that, in aggregate, quietly destroy their financial future. Let me show you what the rule looks like in real numbers. Take two people, same income, same starting point. At age 25, one of them starts putting $400 a month into a broad index fund. She doesn't pick stocks. She doesn't try to time the market. She just consistently invests $400 a month and leaves it alone. At a historically average 8% annual return, by the time she's 65, that $400 a month becomes roughly $1.3 million. The other person, same income, same age, decides he'll start investing later. He's got expenses right now. He'll get to it. He starts at 35 instead. Same $400 a month. Same 8% return. By 65, he has about $590,000. Same person. Same discipline once he starts. 10 years of delay. And the difference is over $700,000. That is not a small gap. That is the difference between retiring comfortably and not retiring at all. Now here's the version that really hits home. Let's say instead of investing, that first person just spent that $400 a month on lifestyle, nicer dinners, newer phone, subscriptions, a slightly better apartment. Over 40 years, she spent $192,000 in actual cash. But because of what compounding could have done with that money, the real cost of that spending wasn't $192,000. It was $1.3 million. That's lifestyle inflation. And most people are paying that price right now without realizing it. Here's the thing nobody tells you about money. It's mostly a psychology problem, not a math problem. The math of wealth building is not complicated. It's simple enough to teach to a middle schooler. But if the math is simple, why do so few people do it? Because our brains are working against us in very specific ways. The first one is lifestyle creep. This is the invisible force that absorbs every raise you ever get. You get a promotion, great, but within 6 months, your spending has expanded to match your new income. The new car feels deserved. The nicer apartment feels reasonable. And suddenly you're making 30% more and somehow saving the exact same amount you were before. This happens to almost everyone. Not because they're irresponsible, but because it feels completely natural and logical in the moment. The second one is something behavioral economists call present bias. Your brain dramatically overvalues what you can have right now compared to what you could have in the future. $1 today feels more real than $10 in 20 years, even when the math clearly says that's a terrible trade. This is why saving feels like deprivation and spending feels like reward, even when logically you know the opposite is true over time. And then there's social comparison. We are wired to benchmark ourselves against the people around us. The neighborhood you live in, the friend group you have, the Instagram feed you scroll, all of it creates an invisible pressure to spend at a certain level. And most of that level is funded by debt. So you're not just keeping up with the Joneses, you're accidentally mimicking their debt habits while assuming they're modeling success. Money habits, honestly, are exactly like diet habits. No single slice of pizza makes you unhealthy. No single impulsive purchase makes you broke. But the small, daily, automatic choices compound quietly in one direction or the other. And most people are compounding in the wrong direction without ever making a conscious decision to do so. Now, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds good in theory, but I genuinely don't make enough to invest. I'm just trying to cover my bills. And I hear that. I really do. But here's the problem with waiting until you make more. The amount that feels like enough to start has a mysterious way of always being just a little higher than whatever you're currently making, because the spending always expands first. The research on this is consistent. People who start investing small amounts early, even $50 a month, develop the habit and the identity of someone who invests. And that identity shapes every financial decision after it. The amount matters less than you think. The habit matters enormously. Or maybe you're thinking, I'll start next year, once things settle down a bit. Here's the truth about next year. It's always 1 year away. There will always be a reason. And every year you wait is compounding working against you instead of for you. And if you're thinking, but isn't investing risky? Yes, holding cash is also risky. Inflation quietly erodes the value of money sitting in a savings account at 0.1% interest, while inflation runs at 3 or 4%. The question isn't whether to take risk. The question is which risks you're choosing to take consciously or by default. Okay, here's the moment I've been building toward. A lot of people believe the system is designed to keep them poor. And honestly, some parts of that are true. There are real structural challenges. But here's the realization that changes everything. The hidden rule that keeps most people from building wealth isn't an external force. It's internal. It's the invisible financial default settings that most people run their entire lives on, never questioning them, never adjusting them, just living out the pattern they absorbed growing up and the habits they developed in their 20s. Most people have money flowing through their lives like water through their hands. It comes in, it flows out, and they end up with whatever's left over, which is usually close to nothing. Wealthy people, even modestly wealthy people, have figured out how to redirect some of that flow before it can leak out. They pay themselves first, they let time do the heavy lifting, and they resist the psychological pulls that make everyone else spend every raise they ever get. The game isn't rigged against you in the way you might think, but there is a game. And most people are playing it without ever being handed the rule book. Today, you got the rule book. So, what do you actually do with this? Step 1. Find your leaks. Before you change anything, spend 1 month tracking every dollar you spend. Not to judge yourself, just to see the actual flow. Because most people are genuinely shocked when they see where the money goes. This step costs nothing. It only requires honesty. Step 2. Pay yourself first, automatically. Set up an automatic transfer to a savings or investment account the same day your paycheck hits, before you pay anything else, before you have a chance to spend it, even if it's $50, even if it's $25. The automation is the key. Willpower is unreliable. Systems are not. Step 3. Start investing as soon as humanly possible. If your employer offers a 401k with any kind of match, that match is literally free money. Take all of it. If you don't have access to that, a Roth IRA is a powerful starting point. Contributions are after tax, growth is tax-free, and you can start with very small amounts. Step 4. Every time your income increases, redirect half of the increase toward investing before your lifestyle has a chance to absorb it. This one strategy alone, applied consistently, can transform your trajectory over a decade. None of these steps require being rich to start. They require being intentional. Look, most people will watch a video like this, feel inspired for a day or two, and then go right back to the same patterns. Because patterns are comfortable. Because change feels hard. Because next month always seems like a better time to start than right now. But you now understand something that most people genuinely never figure out. Wealth isn't about income. It's about flow, behavior, and time. And of those 3 things, time is the one you can never get back. The people who are quietly building financial security around you, they're not necessarily smarter than you. They're not luckier. They just started redirecting a small piece of their flow a little earlier than everyone else. And then they let time do what time does. You can start today. Not next month, not when things calm down. Today. Even one small automatic transfer. Even one honest look at where your money actually goes. The first step breaks the pattern. And once the pattern is broken, everything gets easier. Because here's what I want you to take away from today. The hidden money rule isn't your enemy. Once you understand it, it works for you just as powerfully as it's been working against you. The game hasn't changed, but now you know how it's played. And once you understand the hidden rule of money, you stop playing the game like everyone else.